and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed and today we're going to make these cute little pink cushions. So let's get started. Okay, so we need some supplies to make our little pin cushions today. As you can see, you can make them in all different sizes. So this one is a little bit smaller than that one. So it's a really good scrap busting project today. So you're going to need some polyester fill or whatever fill you've got. You can also add some crushed walnuts into it or some steel wool. That's entirely up to you, but today I'm just going to use a polyester fill. You're going to need some fabric. So I've just pull something out of my scrap bin. You're going to need a marking device so you can trace your circle out. You're also going to need some thread snips, some paper scissors to cut your template plastic out, some fabric scissors to cut your fabric circles out. You're also going to need some pinking shears today too, so when we sew our circles together we can pink that circular shape, and that way it'll fold in and make a nice seam on that. We're going to need a little button. I'm just using one of these little homemade handmade buttons with love, but you can use any size button that you want. You're going to need some hand sewing needles and also a chenilling needle so you can thread your embroidery floss around your little pumpkin shape pincushion, so you can see here how it's gone around. Okay, so you're also going to need some hand sewing thread, so I'm just going to be using this cream one today, and that's the color of the embroidery floss that I'm using. And the reason you need a chenille needle is because the eye of the needle is quite large and it'll fit the six strands of the stranded embroidery thread through that without a problem. Now you need to get a circle that is 5 inches across this way, anything that you've got, and it doesn't have to be 5 inches. You can use something a little bit smaller. I have made them for just off a small embroidery hoop, but anything you can trace a circle out with will be perfect for that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 circles out of our fabric. So I just grabbed my template, whatever size that you're using. I personally prefer the 5-inch one because it gives me a decent size pin cushion, so you can see that it fits nicely into my palm. And this is the size I always like to make. It's really good to use leftover charm squares as well. So this particular one here was made out of a charm pack. So you trace out your 2 circles, just like so. Then grab your fabric scissors and cut your circles out. Okay, so we've got my 2 circles cut out. Now what I'm going to do is place them right sides together, and just on one section I'm actually going to just draw a mark here about 2.5 inches wide to 2 to 2.5 inches wide, and then we're going to pin our circle at those marks. So 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, reversing at the beginning and at the end. Okay, so you can see here I've sewn it together 1/4 inch all the way around. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our pinking shears and we're actually going to snip away some of that excess seam. So not going into your stitches or anything like that, just clip away that excess. So what pinking does is actually just makes your seam sit a little bit better when you turn it out, and normally you would just clip these, but this is just a quick and easy way of doing it. If you don't have pinking shears, basically all you're going to do is just get your thread snips and you're just going to, or your scissors, and you're just going to make little V's all the way around. So now we're ready to turn that the right way out. So once you've turned it in the right way, give that a really good press, just making sure that you just press these under 1/4 inch as well, and that'll just make it a little bit easier when we go to hand sew this closed. Okay, so we've pressed that now, and now we're ready to take our polyester fill and fill up our little pin cushion. So just start by putting little bits in and just keep stuffing it in until you've got it firm but not too firm, because you want to be able to still hand sew this closed. So just little bits at a time. You can see there that the pincushion's now starting to take some shape. Okay, so now that we've stuffed our little pincushion, we need to close this hole. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a hand sewing needle and some polyester thread. So for something like this where I'm closing it, what I like to do is actually to just put my thread through and have it doubled, and then just put a quilter's knot into the bottom, or a little slip knot, whatever knot you want to do. Snip off the excess for the tails, and hopefully I can get this close enough on camera for you to see. So the first things first is we want to just fold in our little seams here and pin them closed, and you want it to remain as if it's going in a circle as well. So I'm just going to get some small pins here, as close to the circle as you can get it to go, making sure all your raw edges are tucked in. Okay, so we've got our seam all pinned in place, and now what we're going to do is we're going to, when we start, we're just going to come into the seam where we've stitched on our sewing machine, and we're going to come out of it a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is what we call a ladder stitch. So basically you're going to take a little bit of a bite from this side of the fabric up in the corner, and you're going to do the same on this side, and then you're just going to pull that until it closes the seam up, and you're going to repeat that all the way across until you've closed up your hole that you used to stuff your pincushion with. So you can see there that it's starting to take shape and it's starting to close. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way across. I'll secure it on this side with a little knot, and then we'll put our little button in the center, and we'll turn our little circle into like a pumpkin. Okay, so we've stuffed our little pincushion and we've sewn it all up, and now what we're going to do is find the center of our pincushion. So we're going to come up through the center with our embroidery floss, and you need about 30 inches of embroidery floss will get you to finish this off and turn it into our little pumpkin. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to come up through the center, then you're going to wrap it over, and then where you came up through the center again, you're going to line that up and then come through there as well. Okay, so you've come up through the center, and you're going to give that a little bit of a tug, and then you're going to turn it and go directly opposite and do the same thing, going up through the center and coming up through the center, and then give that a little bit of a tug as well. Now that's pretty much cut it in half, as you can see. So now we're going to cut it in quarters. So again, roll that over, going up through the center, coming out through the center, and give that a little bit of a tug, and then turn it and do the opposite side. Same again, up through the center, so you're coming out through the center, just like so. Okay, so now it looks like you've cut it into quarters. So now we're going to cut those quarters in half again, and you might need to play around a little bit just to get it to sit evenly. So you can see that there. So they look like they're sitting evenly now, and now we can cut them in half. If you don't get them even, it doesn't really matter, but it will make it look a little bit off. It won't look centered enough, and you don't want to pull too tight either, because what will happen is it'll look a little bit weird as well. So just gently give it a bit of a tug, making sure that it's in the center of your quarter, and that way they're nice and even. And then across this way, and just remembering it is a pincushion, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, it is going to be tossed around on your sewing table and used and loved no matter what. Okay, so you can see there that we've cut those in half. Now we just do the last bit. We go up through the center again, making sure that it's even, and you can see it's starting to take shape. And last one, up through the center, and that's it. Okay, so we've gone all around and we've secured that in place. So to secure, when you do secure that in place, just go through a couple of times and it just tidies up. You can see here it just tidies up the threads where we've gone in and out. So now we are ready to put our button on. So all I do for that is, again, I just have it coming out and then I thread the button on and it goes down into the center. And I just hold that in place the best I can, and then I just thread that through again into the center where I've been going and out through the center. And I just do that a couple of times, coming back up. So you're just putting the button on as you would put any other button. Okay, so we come back up again and then back over. So you can see there that I don't want it to be too thick, so I just go through about 3 times because this is just getting added on. It's not actually holding anything in place, it's just purely decorative. Okay, and back down through, that's the last time, and making sure that you're coming out into the center. And then to secure, I just go sort of fold the pincushion in half like so, and then I just go through where I can underneath the center threads, just like so, and pull that tight. And then I go through one more time and I try to get it into the center as much as I can. It is a little bit tight at this point because you've pulled everything through that one spot, and again just slip that through like so, and then I just go through the pincushion, come out through the side and bury that thread. Snip that as close as I can to the fabric without cutting it, and then just roll it, and there we go, our little pincushion is finished. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me today. I really do hope you enjoyed making these cute little pincushions. I have a ton of them. I use them. You'll see them pop up in my videos every now and again. And whenever I've got some scraps big enough to make the circles, I just make these up. I throw them into my gift bin and I give them away for gifts or for raffles or anything like that, for P&C, just different things like that. So they're a great little scrap busting idea, and I really do hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it today, give it a thumbs up down below and leave us a comment and tell us what you thought, because we always love to hear from people that are watching our channel. And hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and the little bell icon beside it, and that way you won't miss out on any future posts. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reid for Darvanalee Designs Studio, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.